What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing round 2 of my mock draft 8.1 with trades. So if you guys are new, feel free to check out round 1. It's already been uploaded, so feel free to go over that. We are going to be doing a quick review right now of what we did, but again, I would love for you guys to stay around. If you guys have not already, I'm going to continue saying it. Join the Discord. It's absolutely free. I do stuff over there all the time that I can't do here, like doing tape studies with you guys, looking at all 22 that you guys can't have access to. So again, feel free to join there. We now have over 210 members, which is awesome. Let's get right into it. Just a quick review. Obviously, Bryce Young, chilling. You know, he is what he is. I'm going to let you guys read because I know that you guys can. I don't think that you guys need to necessarily be like hitched to me at the hip with me explaining everything. But Hendon Hooker was not pick 19. It was Anthony Richardson because PFF doesn't have him in their database. And then there's two other players. This was Darnell Wright, who is a left and right tackle hybrid. And then, yeah, I mean, this right here is not a D to me what. That is going to be Isaiah McGuire, who you see is at my number 2 spot. I am now going to scroll down and show you guys more of my board. Still have some phenomenal players who I have in my top 32 still on the board. So even someone in my top 11. That's B.J. Ojulari. So pick number 32. The Texans, we have gone after Trent Simpson as well as Byron. Why do I want to say Byron Young? I'm tripping balls. Bryce Young. Byron Young also in this class. So Bryce Young, Trent Simpson, you got two very, very, very good weapons on your team. I like the idea of B.J. Ojulari here. Someone, I don't know exactly what defensive scheme you're running because I do feel like the coaching staff might be on the way out. We don't know. It's been pretty ineffective here and there. So I do like the idea of going after a high-powered edge rusher like BJ and saying, okay, we have an elite level defense now. You have two hyper-athletic linebackers. You have a hyper-athletic edge rusher. Like, there's some serious superpower shit that could be going on right now if you do draft that way. Other positions I would at least consider, maybe tight end. You know, I do love Brevin Jordan, though. I wouldn't replace him just yet. Tackle. I mean, I also know O.J. Howard had some good games here and there. Tackle, you know, that's for the long term, and there's not good enough value here. Guard or center. I think center could be up there in the needs. Of course, you can always get another corner. You always get extra help on the defense. So for me, I want to just go after the best player available, and even based off of my board right now, we'll check it out. Everybody until B.J. Ojulari has been taken, and most of the people after him. So it's pretty obvious. He is BPA. You're going to get a super talented edge rusher here. Just somebody who I think is going to be an absolute baller for you. So B.J. Ojulari, definitely a good option. Steelers sitting here at number 33. And I want to give a shout out to one of my Steelers fans in the comments. They actually brought up a good idea. They said, what if the Steelers, because they had 2 second-round picks, use this 33 to have moved up to pick number 20 with Seattle to get Jordan Addison. Then you have Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison, as well as now Broderick Jones. So it's not like you're giving up on getting a need. And I think that's a phenomenal idea if that is the case. Now, I don't know if it will be, but it really depends on how he tests. If he tests 4.4 or higher, then maybe that is in the realm. But if he tests in the 4.3s, we have a little bit of trouble trying to get Jordan Addison, especially after Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson at a smaller size have had a lot of success. But I do like that idea. If that is on the board, if you can spend a 3rd-round pick to be able to move up there, we have that extra second. So we're not really losing out on the overall amount of draft choices that we would have had before we got rid of Chase Claypool. I digress. So I think corner like Clark Phillips would be pretty cool. He actually proved to be able to handle even high-level talents like, I'm tripping balls. What am I saying? Jordan Addison in his championship game, in the Pac-12 championship. He did a phenomenal job. So I do like Clark Phillips. He's a little too small for me to necessarily just pull the trigger on him. I like continuing building the offensive line. I think that's a huge position for us to target. Again, the corners, I'm just not feeling it with this class at this point. I don't think Garrett Williams is coming out. And we'll check right now just to make sure. People who are returning, let's go into the cornerback realm. I do not see him in here yet. So he so far hasn't decided to return. And he has, I don't believe, decided to come out. And based off of what I just saw, he did not. So Again, shout out to Alex Katzen for making this board. Of course, we have a resident Chiefs fan down in the comments section who pointed that out to me, so big thanks to you. Regardless, I'm going to consider him returning. Same thing with Eli Ricks. I think that's pretty damn logical. So we are sitting here. We've addressed tackle. I do think that we could address offensive line again. It's going to be weird to have the Steelers consider that multiple picks in a row. Now, I do think defensive interior could be justified. I do. But I do know that there are guys who are later down the board. Steelers like to either, I assume, hit high or grab guys in the middle rounds. And like guys like Gervon Dexter could be there in the third. Guys like, I'm right there on my board. Jerzon Newton. Where is he at? Right here. Jerzon Newton could be there. I don't know if Jerzon's coming out because he's been a freak this year. But those are definitely some options I would love to look at. Safety-wise, not really a huge fan of what we have available. It's a weird spot, and honestly, I am considering trading down. O'Cyrus Torrence is here, though. And that right guard spot could certainly be filled, in my opinion, with... I know James Daniels he's here for a 3-year deal, so we don't necessarily need a right guard. Andrew Voorhees, though, if you want someone to plug and play, that's a guy who could plug and play. And he definitely feels like he could be a very good Steeler. I'm starting to talk myself out of moving out of this pick because of the fact that he's a really good player. Now, I want to see if a team wants to move up here for a tackle. I can see the Jaguars potentially trying to move up here. I can see the Cardinals trying to jump the Rams and Seattle, and I think that's a bright move. I think the Steelers, it's not a very good spot to choose somebody, in my opinion. So I could certainly see Seattle and LA trying to vie maybe for picks that the Cardinals want. And the Cardinals definitely need some help on the offensive line. So we're going to have them trade up here. Where art thou, Arizona? And we're going to start out here. But as y'all will see, we're going right to the draft tracker again. The trade tracker 580 is for pick number 33. Technically, it's 34, so 560. It's not going to be that great of a discrepancy. Down to pick number 39, so it's roughly a 70 split, which, based on the value, is going to be pick 144 or higher. And we have pick 103 here, which is a little bit expensive. And I think the Cardinals would probably want something in return, so we'll give them like a next year 7th in return, just to balance out that value. We're going to send the trade through. It literally says 95% chance, so it is what it is. It's based off of the value. So the Steelers end up acquiring another pick in the future and move down. And then the Cardinals, they need help, and it's either going to be interior or tackle. And I do like the idea of having my pick of the litter of dudes to go after. And if you want somebody like Caleb Williams had a lot of success behind Andrew Voorhees, he's used to having a more mobile quarterback in that Cliff Kingsbury system. I think that will actually have a very, very good translation to the NFL and to this team. Of course, Andrew Voorhees would have been my top target probably for the Seahawks, but now you're kind of getting the sloppy seconds, and now you have to go after a right guard. You could have went O'Cyrus Torrence for this team, but I want somebody who could step in right away because you don't want, Kyler Murray to be on his 8th year by the time that O'Cyrus Torrence is fully ready, the way that Andrew Voorhees could be year 1 or 2. We'll switch back to my board right here so you guys get to see a little bit more. Andrew Voorhees obviously a lot higher up here at at my spot number 20. So pick number 34. Again, I'm a huge fan of going offensive line for the Seahawks because I just think that's a good move. We traded back. We got Brian Bryce. We have also acquired Will Anderson. So no defensive pick for this one. They're not going to go defense. Out of realism, we're going to go after O'Cyrus Torrence. Super high upside, really good run blocker. Definitely has some negative tape here and there, and that does scare me. But the flashes that he does have are incredible. He's a really good athlete, and I think he could accommodate. He'll go and assimilate very well into the NFL, especially in Seattle. It's probably my dream fit for him. Pick number 35 for the Rams. We're going to be going after a tackle here, and there's 2 of them that are left on the board, and that is Javon Foster, who I have here at spot number 22, and then it's also Blake Freeland, who I have a little bit more down my board here at number 62. And I'm going to obviously go after a guy who I think is a perfect fit not Matt Bergeron, but Javon Foster again, my number 22 player on my board. Super low floor, but an extremely high ceiling. I don't think the Rams are going to be anywhere near contention at this point. So being able to, get somebody who could be Trent Williams-esque, probably going to be the right move. Pick number 36. I think Tanner McKee is probably the primary guy who I would suggest at this point. I think it's fair. You need to get a quarterback, and Tanner McKee is here. So we're going to go Tanner McKee, at least test him out. Andy Dalton's had a lot of success here. Pick number 37. So what do I do with Carolina? Did I move up with them, or did I move back? I just stayed in place, got Myles Murphy. It was BPA. Honestly, there was nobody who's going to trade up for Will Levis at that point. So if I'm sitting here, you got Myles Murphy. Linebacker with Drew Sanders, I think, would be a phenomenal option. I really do. Now, running back, you could, of course, get someone like Jahmyr Gibbs. He's really damn good. He'd fit really well. But I know I can get Devon Achane at that second. This running back class is super deep. You get even Trey Benson later on. I think all those guys would be better value. So for me, I think I want to hit on a linebacker spot. I think Shaq Thompson might be up for a contract as well. Drew Sanders also has edge rushing ability, and he's been up to 250 pounds. He definitely feels like could be that on sale Luke Kuechly for you. So I think it's a good move. Pick number 38. So for the Jags, did we go Christian Gonzalez in the first, or we go wide receiver? I love Christian Gonzalez. We went Christian. So awesome. Corner secured. I still think wide receiver. Kayshon Boutte is returning, which just guts me. He should have been. I don't know what the hell is going on there. Maybe he heard something from the committee saying you're not going to be a first. I don't know. It really shocks me. But offensive line still is on the board. I mean, you could use Luke Whippler as a guard, but I'm not really a huge fan of the guys who are there because they're primary centers, and I'm not going to create competition with Luke Fortner. I think tight end with Dalton Kincaid could be a really good option, though. Darnell Washington could be really fun, but he doesn't really fit the way that I would really want him to. I know there's a lot of speed and a lot of elusiveness, and Darnell Washington, to me, doesn't really fit that. So I like the idea of Dalton Kincaid here. He put up literally 200 yards 2 times this year. I think both versus USC. So getting that nice rotation, some fresh players in here, I think is a good way to start. Pick number 39 for the Steelers. Again, this is my team, so I might still send a pick through on Clark Phillips. We do need a cornerback desperately, and he's been able to prove that, he can play on the boundary. So I think it's worth it. It is. So let's just test it out, see how it goes. Pick number 40. This should be a tackle, and Blake Freeland's here. I think that's perfect. This is the ideal situation. You trade up with your future first to be able to get CJ Stroud, and then you get Blake Freeland. That is ideal. I think that's very ideal. Pick number 41 for the Falcons. We went after Cam Smith in the first, and I think that defensive line could definitely be another position to go after. Running back definitely should be in there with Jahmyr Gibbs, but you have some phenomenal edge rushers. Granted, we could always trade up later on and get some of them because you still have guys like Latu. Might not come out, but you still have guys like Derek Hall who would be phenomenal fits. And I don't know. I feel like they might want to go offense here. When you have someone who might be running the 4-2s like Jahmyr Gibbs and knowing Cordell Patterson's impact on this offense, it might make sense to go this way. But you guys have drafted later round running backs, and they have had a lot of success, like Tyler Algier. So maybe that's the system that you guys want to go. I'm going to go with BPA. I like Will McDonald the 4th here. Really damn good player overall. I'm a big fan of Will. He is still, I think, number 17 on my board. He is. So we're right now scratching away. The next best player on my board is Xavier Hutchinson. He might not even go because I understand he's a 5th-year senior who might not test below 4.4, and just naturally you want someone who's going to be like that. He had a lot of forced production. RIP to Kayshon, so got to update the board right there. But yeah, Justin Shorter also among those on the list. Pick number 42 for the Packers. Round 1, what did we go after? Did I just say fuck it, we're going to go wide receiver? I did. So Quentin Johnston's on the roster. Love that. Now, for me, there's no more tackles available. I think tight end with Darnell Washington would be, y'all pointed this out, and I thank you guys so much for it. It's a perfect young version of Mercedes Lewis. And obviously, even at his age, he plays a big role. I'm a huge fan of going Darnell Washington for this squad. Pick number 43. So at this spot, again, I think, did we go corner round 1 for you guys? We went Brian Branch, DB, love it. Linebacker should be in the consideration. It should be. Tyron Hopper could be a really fun blitzing linebacker for you. I like Tyron Hopper a lot. Jacoby Windman still in there. I'm going to move my board down a little bit so y'all can see a little bit more. I think you're going to tag Josh Jacobs, so we'll leave it as is. There's a lot of needs on this team, and I think they primarily pertain to the offensive line at this point. When you can get someone like Luke Whippler or John Michael Schmitz's talent, I don't think you pass up on it. Both would look good in silver and black, so you choose whichever one you want. I'm going to go Luke Whippler. I'm going to go John Michael Schmitz. He's a little bit more seasoned. If you're going to stay with Derek Carr, that's probably going to be the best case scenario for you. Also, you're taking away from the Steelers, who's a potential another AFC contender. Pick number 44. So Browns' first pick here. There's still running backs on the board. I should try to trade up with a team trying to get any electric running back. I do feel like Blake Corum will return as well, but I mean, there's so many wide receivers. I'm going to trade down with this pick. The question is, who wants to get a superstar running back like Jahmyr Gibbs? And it's tough to find a team that's genuinely interested in that game-breaking speed. So it's hard to find a team that would actually want to move up. And I might not. I might not move up for him. Let's see who else is on the board. Quarterback-wise, I don't really think Cam Ward's going to be a second-round pick. Just don't. Corners, you still have Emmanuel Forbes here, who's a really good zone corner. You might want to trade with a team that needs a zone corner, but I think Washington already got Jalen Jones, and they did not. How interesting. Where did Jalen Jones go? Ooh. So I could definitely see a team like Washington trying to move up, because I do see teams who that probably maximize their corner usage very well that could be wanting to move into that spot. So we're going to actually see if Washington, there we go. They're going to move up. Let's look back at the trade chart, 44 to 49. So it's going to be 410 so it's a 50-point gap. That's nothing. 154 or higher, and we have 145. So based on the trade value, that makes sense. They're going to move up, and you need to get a DB. Emmanuel Forbes has like 80,000 pick sixes, so very, very good ball skills. He's very thin, but he's actually really dynamic in coverage. I think he fits very well, similar to a Bengals corner scheme for most of his career there. So I think that could translate over to Washington. Steelers are back on the clock. I still think that we should try to address offensive line. Luke Whippler is undersized, so it's a little bit of a little bit sucky, and we'll get the board back up for you guys. You guys get to see some more guys. I still have a Lusagoon here, but he's a 6-year senior, so it's a grad transfer. It's a little bit tough to say that he's going to go this high, as much as I love him. And if I'm not mistaken, Luke is a true junior, so it is really tough to not go after the super young prospect who's playing very, very well. So I'm heavily leaning that way. Let's try to find some other picks in here, though. Tight end, no. Wide receiver, we didn't go after one, so Josh Downs wouldn't be a bad option. Obviously, Justin Shorter. I think Justin Shorter's a perfect Steeler. I have a weird feeling that's what we're going to draft in the 3rd round. He's going to be a baller. So keep in mind with that. I certainly believe that he's probably in that tier. And he does feel a little bit like a Steeler. 6'4", 230 pounds, and he's probably going to run a 4.4. So, we have some good success with guys of that size and speed caliber. So at this spot, linebacker is always a concern for us. Jack Campbell would honestly be a really good linebacker in case we don't want to pay Devin Bush. That he feels like a Steeler too. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'll probably try to implement it next week. But for now, I want to address the offensive line, and this interior class is super weak. He may be 300 pounds, but I think he'll probably gain a little bit more in the offseason. And he's been super consistent. So I want to bring Luke Whippler in. I don't think Mason Cole's the answer, but even if he is, Luke can sit there for a year and continue to develop, and he's going to be a longer-term guy than someone like Mason Cole, who we know is not the future. Pick number 46. So, yeah, I think the board's good. You guys get to see some good guys on here. Noah Sewell's also still on the board, and I think that's a guy who I really want to draft for this team. Is Noah Sewell or Jack Campbell? I'm going to go Jack because he just feels more blue-collar almost. He fits the identity. And he's really, like, I love that he's taken a big step up in his game. Like, I'm a big fan of Jack Campbell. You know, I definitely give credit where credit's due. I thought he was pretty mad last year. And he improved his athleticism, he improved his play, he improved his IQ. So, for me, I think that's really cool, and I love to give credit where credit is due. Pick number 47, I think this is going to be Noah Sewell, linebacker out of Oregon. Not DeMarvion Overshone. He's not going to get drafted in these two. But Noah Sewell from Oregon, 6'3", 6'2", 250 pounds. I mean, I could just read it right there. Where is he at? Noah Sewell, 6'3", 251 pounds. And yeah, he has some issues in coverage, but honestly, you're getting an upgrade regardless if you are the Chargers here. I think it's a good move. Pick number 48 for the Patriots. So in the first, I believe did we go after a tackle or did we go after Jordan Addison? We went Tyree Wilson. I love it, but I did not expect that. Graham Barton seems to be a sneaky guy that could end up being the Patriots pick. It's just like one of those dudes who shouldn't go at this spot, but probably will. Cody Mock is really good, but the issue is when you scout him, he never blocks the first guy. He always goes to the linebacker to block. It's a North Dakota State scheme, so I would not be surprised if he fell very far in the draft. Now, wide receiver, I still think should be at least somewhat in the consideration. And someone like Jalen Hyatt could be a really fun deep threat option. Josh Downs could be your Jalen Waddle, so to speak. And honestly, I love Josh Downs. I think he'd be a really good Patriot. We've already gone after edge, and I think DB is something you guys can prioritize later on in the draft. The receiving weapons are perfectly fine. I just think you can never deny trying to upgrade at a cheaper option. And so we're going to test out Josh Downs right here. Pick number 49, Josh Downs probably would have been my favorite pick at this spot. I think that, DPJ makes it kind of tough for me to go Xavier Hutchinson here, who is just more that big body, 6'3", 210 pounds, who is just a little bit more dynamic. Definitely should be at least considered. But let's look at other options. I like the edge class right now. There's just so many good guys. And, from Laiatu Latu to Derek Hall, I think Derek Hall is a perfect fit. It's a way to save money without having to extend Clowney for way too long. And Derek Hall, he has that dog in him. I'm a big fan of what Derek Hall can bring to the table. So shout out to Derek Hall. Pick number 50, this is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know how he keeps falling, but now you have two hyper athletes in that backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs as well as Anthony Richardson. So big pluses there. Osiris Torrance, Brian Breesy, Will Anderson. That has been the draft so far, which most people would say is an A++ draft for Seattle. And now, again, this is why I like moving up with Seattle and doing shit, because you don't need this many picks, to be blunt. You could go tight end here. I think later on in the draft, you can get someone like Josh Wiley, who is my still tight end 2 graded wise. Like, he's a phenomenal player. I saw him in person. He still wowed me then. Just the most underused player of all time. I think that'd be great. Already went defensive interior, already went edge. Could still look at cornerback, could look at safety. I like J.L. Skinner because he can play linebacker as well. He also feels like a big thumper. So let's test him out in this scheme. Again, this is just house money at this point. So being able to get a talent of that level, not too shabby. Pick number 52 for the Titans. I saw a mock where somebody went Bijan with him for them, and I think I considered it as well. You could look at Devon Achane as just being that change of pace back for you, but you can get guys later in the draft for that. First round, I think we went Anton Harrison for you guys, and we did. So a nice swing left and right tackle for you. We're going to scroll down the board a little bit more so you get to see even more guys on here. Again, not fully up to date. You still have Olu Fashanu on the board. Tyler Davis, man. He's been a lost guy in terms of being on this in my drafts, and he deserves to be wholeheartedly. He deserves it. But Jalen Hyatt would be a super nice. I think I did it in my last draft. I love that combination of Hyatt as well as Burks. Just really a good deep threat, and then even Burks is a good deep threat. He's just a lot larger, so different style of player. But Jalen Hyatt just has that take the top off of the defensibility. Definitely something that will be valued in the NFL. Pick number 53 for the Jets. Actually, we didn't go offensive line because we had Antonio Johnson in the first. I like that a lot. I mean, I would even consider Chris Abrams-Drain here. Again, top 32 player on my board. Like, I love Chris Abrams-Drain. Regardless, man, like, this team doesn't need much. That's the sad part. Like, you could move up for a QB if you wanted to. Like, I'm hoping Tom Brady signs here just because it's fully loaded and ready to go. I don't really think there's anything you really need to upgrade. Tight end? You go Sam Laporta. You know, it's not that bad. It's gonna take Luke Musgrave. I'm not taking him in my drafts just yet. I need to study him a bit more to be able to consider him. It's going to be Sam Laporta out of Iowa. Yes, he has a higher drop rate than most, but he's super well balanced. Obviously, I think that his quarterback is kind of crap, so it doesn't really make sense to fully look at his drop rate and be like, that's all on him. So it is what it is. I like Sam Laporta a lot. Pick number 54 for New York. Moved up for Will Levis. Still have some big holes on the roster. Corner is one of them. I love the idea of Tyreek Stevenson, a 6 foot, 212-pound monster on the boundary, being able to assist. Pick number 55. So the first pick of the Dolphins. DB not really concerning me right now. You even have UDFAs who are able to step up and play at a higher level. Now, DeJuan Jones could be an interesting project at right tackle. I don't like DeJuan Jones. I don't. But I know a lot of people do like him. A lot of people are going to be pretty astounded by the fact that he's like 360 pounds at a right tackle spot. So I do want to consider him. I do. Like, he's a good project. And this is exactly the team that, honestly, it wouldn't be that bad to even have him start because it's not going to get much worse than the right tackle could get. Linebacker, Like, this is a weird team to draft for. Tight end definitely is on the table, but I don't really want to continue taking tight end. And if I'm not mistaken, one of my favorite tight ends in the draft decided to transfer in Jaheim Bell. Where is he at? I just saw him. Where's he at? I'm tripping. Here we go. So he decided to transfer. Oh, interesting. Austin Stogner is in the transfer portal. So either we're seeing Spencer Rattler come out, or he's really that much of an ass to where he lost his best friend. That is an interesting thing to study. Now, I think that we could try to get someone like Gervon Dexter and just get some extra beef on the interior. Might not be a bad idea, and I don't think it's ever a bad idea to continue bolstering your defensive front. And Gervon was like a number 3 player in the country in high school. Definitely has the talent there. I think it's worth at least taking a swing to see what happens. Pick number 56, we are going to end up getting a running back here in Devon Achane, who put up over 200 yards against LSU, who obviously beat Bama. I mean, like, they're a really damn good franchise. So Devon Achane has that 4.24 speed. Love him to death. We're considering Blake Corum returning in this just because, you know, usually if you're like injured, your quarterback has another year of eligibility, probably best for you to probably try to stay. And before I bite my words, let's just make sure that he hasn't decided to come out just yet. I don't see him on here, so that's fine with me. RIP to SMU. Well, to be fair, Tanner wasn't that great for us anyway. But pick number 57 for the Bears. We have decided to trade back with the Eagles, and we ended up getting a star left tackle as well as an edge rusher, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. So we bolstered the lines. I think that's good. Now's the time to get a reliable receiver. And this, it's gonna say Rashee Rice. I'm not drafting my buddy just yet. Most of the all-22 out there, I watched it with my eyes. I wasn't a huge fan of his translatable game, but the all-22 that is out there is really bad because it's not translatable either as against Navy. But it's going to be Xavier Hutchinson, just a really super reliable target, good size, good hands, just someone who you could really trust on the outside. Pick number 58. So I want to continue to probably try to bolster the corner core. We got Michael Mayer, if I'm not mistaken, in the first round. So Chris Abrams-Drain could be fun. I think he might compete a little too much with Dax Hill, though. That's like my only major concern. You could try to get some edge help in there and create a nice little edge rotation. Lucas Van Ness. I mean, this guy, he does have a lot of talent, but you know, he has a lot of room to grow. I'm looking at like Zach Harrison here too. I'm not very comfortable with any of these guys except Nolan Smith, who doesn't fit in the first place. So Like for me, I want to look at just my pure board rather than what is here to see if maybe we could squeeze somebody else in. And you still got guys like Justin Shorter on the board, Olusegun. Actually, Olusegun would be a really good target for this team. We're going to go Olusegun Oluwatimi for the squad. 6-year senior, but he's been absolutely dominant there for Michigan. And we're going to see him against even higher level talent coming into probably the championship. So I'm very excited to see that. Olusegun from UVA now to UM. And, you know, just super consistent. You need to make sure Joe Burrow's protected. And, you know, definitely someone who can play both center and guard. So I do like that versatility. Pick number 59 for the Cowboys. I think we ended up moving up for Jordan Addison. And that still leaves some primary holes on the offensive line, in my opinion. It also leaves some primary holes in that secondary. And Chris Abrams-Drain would be really fun. He'd be nasty. Devon Witherspoon as well. And I like the idea of having a boundary corner, so we're going to go Devon Witherspoon. He has a ton of PBUs this year. He's been very locked down. Has some pretty damn cool graphics as well for when we do a corners video. Pick number 60, the Chiefs. Again, offensive tackle. Graham Barton still could be a really fun option. Cody Mock, really good options. Now, I don't really necessarily agree with anything else on offense. I don't. Your interior is probably one of the best in the league. And then running back, you find a way to make anything work. Same thing with the receiving group. So defensively, I want to go defensive interior. And the guy who I'm thinking of, I used to do this all the time, Tyler Davis. It's not Pigu or Pegus. I forgot how to actually say JJ's name. But it's going to be Tyler Davis from Clemson. Guy's absolutely phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of his pass rush upside. So, you know, definitely somebody who I want to tip my cap to. Pick number 61 for the Lions. Again, we'll recap what we did with the Lions. Jack Campbell, as well as Jared Verse, and then we actually ended up moving back and getting Joey Porter and an extra first-round pick. So, pretty damn stacked draft. We've gone all defense because you don't really need much help on offense, but we are going to do running back, and I said we're not including Blake Corum in this, so I would take him in a heartbeat. But Sean Tucker definitely feels like a really good back to have. I think Jamal will return, so you don't necessarily need that. I think that you have to address something on the offensive line or with the running back. I mean, tight end, you could do that too, but I like James Mitchell a lot, and I think he has a bright future. Actually, this is going to be Justin Shorter. Getting a boundary receiver is not a bad idea. We'll show some love to Trey Palmer here. Justin Shorter, again, I say he should be a Steelers third-round pick, 6'4", 230 pounds. My number 32 player on my board. I'm a huge fan of him. I really am. He's the number one wide receiver coming out of high school. He went to Penn State, transferred to Florida. I mean, he's taken his game up a big step this year, too. Pick number 62 for the Buffalo Bills, moved up for Bijan Robinson. And we'll double-check to make sure that happened. It did. So I'm a big fan of that. So Bijan Robinson on the squad. Safety still could be in there. Tyler Nubbin at, I believe, 220 pounds could be a fun option for you. But I like the idea of Chris Abrams-Drain trying to move him into that safety role. Very high field awareness, and just, I mean, again, I love him to death. You guys can see on my board, I have him there at number 30 overall. So we picked all my top 32 players. Pick number 63 for the Eagles. Again, moved up for Jalen Carter, who, again, absolute stud pick for the Eagles, in my opinion. I think that's their best case scenario. Corner, there's just nobody else on the board, in my opinion, that is remotely worth it at this moment. TJ Tampa later on would be a good target for you. But again, I think at this point you got to go edge, and there's so many guys you can take that would fit that role so well. Byron Young would be fun. Isaiah Foskey seems to be more of the actual style of target that you would go after. And let's look at my board exclusively for this last pick here. Jacoby Windman, definitely not somebody who I'd want there. ZTF, probably going to return. Same thing, Braylon Trice. Xavier Thomas. Darrell Shawmee's fun. Darrell Shawmee might be a really good pick for this team. I don't know why he's not in the top 100. But Byron Young's up in there too. So there's certainly some good dudes in this class. Again, like, I do think that I'm a lot lower on some guys than others. But guys like Zach Harrison are really good. KJ Henry has a lot of potential. Mike Morris is good. But we'll go out of realism. I think Foskey is a top 2 round player. He's going to test very well at that size. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.